Yeah. Should be live. Gonna do a quick check. Yes, alright. Here we are. Good evening, folks. Thank you for tuning in if you do happen to. We want to welcome you, of course, to another great season of ARC Formula One racing. We are here ready to kick off the ARC Formula One 2024 realistic season. We're here in Bahrain, of course, for the opening Grand Prix of the season. It'll be a shortened season this year, but still exciting nonetheless as we see an instant spin right out of the pits by the Ferrari of Ryan Nugent. Unfortunately, he'll have to bring it back onto the track. Qualifying underway, of course. Want to welcome in my co-host here, Mr. Billy Targi. Billy, how are we tonight?
Excited, Alex. It's been 2.5 long months. Bit of a, guess this you could call it winter testing for the realistic season. 10 race season, a bit of a sprint. We'll crown a champion. We've done this in seasons past. Just a bit of a break for the guys before we get into the more in-depth season, the long, grueling 24 race schedule for 2024. But yeah, should be a good one, especially obviously you can expect cars on their true performance, Red Bull being the most dominant, and then trickle down to, the rest if you're a fan of real life Formula One. But a lot to look forward to here. Bahrain, a great track. It will test the drivers with grip and following cars closely. You got to have a great setup that can equally make the tires last, but get you through these high speed corners in sectors 3 and sectors 1. So looking forward to this one.
Want to shout out, of course, Mr. Matthew Daly on the sidelines tonight, but of course here in spirit. Has competed in most of the ARC F1 seasons for the past few years. Want to say what's up, Matty? Hope all is well. A few new faces on the grid this time around, though. It's been a while since we've last done this. We've got Ryan Nugent, of course, newcomer in the Ferrari, as well as Corey in the Alfa Romeo. Let's see, who else? Ridwan Hamza will be making an appearance in the F1 series this year. He is a GT7 standout, if nothing else.
Yeah, that Australian has pace. Hopefully it translates over to this. We've obviously seen what he's been able to do in Gran Turismo. Most likely will translate to this game as well, so look for him.
Few team shakeups as well, of course. I mean, after the drafting phase where last season's competitors were able to choose what team they wanted to represent for the following season, a lot of new faces on new teams this time around, and, it's a fresh change. We're all happy to see it, of course.
Yeah, bit of a shakeup, but a welcome shakeup. Just gonna check the audio real quick.
Looks like the first few drivers laying down lap times will be crossing the line at the moment. Chief among them, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, coming out of the gate with a 130.2. Deshaun Davidson a little bit behind, plenty of time left to improve on his 131.6 though. Teammate of Jurgensmeyer though, Andrew Davis, right across the line behind him by 3/100ths of a second with the 130.29, and it's Ridwan stealing that spot from Deshaun Davidson. For the time being, of course, this is very early going. Only the first lap's out thus far.
Corey Chan goes across the line. Not bad considering the Alfa Romeo's pace. True pace.
Not at all, and of course it's Mikey de Jong who comes out swinging first. The first one into the 120s with the 129.2. Let's see who we've got potentially starting a lap soon. I believe Julius Duku will be starting his unless he's about to finish his. He is about to finish his. 130.9 for him puts him in P4 for the time being.
Julius, formerly in the Mercedes last season. Keep an eye on these two Red Bulls out on track right now. Obviously, with the realistic season we have going, obviously clear favorites of. Oh, what is this? Is that an accident or is that just yes?
Looks to be an
Gabe
accident
is
for the
crashed.
Mercedes of Gabe Cazola.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that is an early exit for him before he was able to lay down a lap time. Likely
Couldn't,
will be
just
starting from
lost
the
it in
back of
turn
the
11.
grid. Yeah, should be a great season in store for everybody at home and us also. I mean, we love to call upon great races, and with a realistic F1 season, of course, we'll see things kind of shake out the way that we expect them to, but at the same time, there's always room for surprise, which I'm very happy to see, and it's always welcome.
Yeah, speaking of surprises, we said before, Mikey de Jong already setting it up in P1, Boriyoshi P2. Not a bad first lap for the Ferrari, but what a phenomenal lap for the McLaren driver.
Boriyoshi about half a second off of the lap time of Mikey de Jong currently for that P1 position. As mentioned though, plenty of time left. Looks like Kyler Boggs will be coming around to start his first lap if you want to take us around for it, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely, you see a quick blast. It's a long straight. This is where a lot of overtaking opportunities are going to come. Just max out, hitting it 204 to top speed, all the way down to 45 miles an hour for turn 1, 2, and 3 here. A little bit of wheel spin, but he's kept it under him. DRS, we're going to head towards the end of sector 1 here. Usually want to keep it out wide. He's missed that. Kind of missed the apex there, but he's kept it tidy. Just go through this quick left, right, left of 6 and 7 as we head towards 8, which is another heavy braking zone. Not a lot of passing here, but important to get the traction off the corner. Got to keep it tidy. No wheel spin. And this is the part that'll get you locked up, is turning while braking, going downhill, and he's kept it tight. This will be your second and last DRS, or third DRS zone technically. Get ready for turn 11 where we saw Gabe Cazola and his qualifying effort. Nothing that really stands out right now, Alex. Again, on the mediums as well as we go through 12 into 13. It says it's a fastest sector 2, so we'll see if that holds up.
Down into 4th, around 13 goes Kyler Boggs. This looks to be a good lap for him.
Yep, final corners of 14 and the kink of 15. It's going to be a short blast to the line here. Looking like a tidy lap. I don't think it's P1 though. P4.
Good for P4.
About a
He's right in
second
that
off.
bunch. There are, how many is that? From P3 all the way down to P10. Everybody within at least 9/10 of each other. All in the 130s. Few drivers that are still getting their feet under them, of course. It is early goings in this season. We can expect more from Ayrton Frederick, and I'm sure Ryan Nugent as well down there, P3, P13 and P14 at the moment. Bit of a position swap for Julius Dooku and AJ Knickel. P8 for Dooku, and Knickel will drop to P9 for the time being.
Both Red Bulls opted to do their laps on the medium compound tire.
Definitely an interesting choice. Just given
They're
this...
the only ones to do it on the medium tire.
Looks like Ridwan Hamza will be coming around to lay down a fresh lap time as well. Nope, sorry, he will be starting his right now.
I can tell you right now, Boriyoshi is on a heater right now. He's gone purple through every sector, but on the soft compound tire, so see if that holds up. It remains to see if it's the glitch that's remained in the game for so long. DRS to the line. What's it going to be for Boriyoshi? Not quite enough,
A
Alex.
slight improvement, but still over 2.5 tenths behind Mikey de Jong currently for that pole position. And it seems like it'll be a dogfight between those two at the least. So far, the only two drivers into the 129s, but of course, I mean, it's still early goings, only about halfway through this qualifying session. Enough time for 3, maybe 4 hot laps left for most of these drivers.
Oh, I don't know about that. Between preparation, out lap, and then in lap, you're looking about 3-4 minutes. Got anybody else coming across the line? Nope. Who's this
Would not appear so. It looks like Ayrton Frederick may be coming across with a lap time next. We'll see as he comes around turn 15. Over the line he goes, and only good enough for
Cruise
a
just a little bit
slight
there.
advancement. Yep. Still waiting upon the lap time, of course, of Jackson Altman in the Alpine. The only driver thus
Ridwan,
far yet to lay down a lap.
P7.
Yeah, Ridwan moving his way up right into the middle of that bunch of 130 lap time runners at the moment. And that seems to be the sweet spot for most of these drivers. If you can make it into the 129s, you'll probably be in one of the first few rows, but most of the rest of the field looks to be lapping around that 130 mark. He does go purple, however, Jackson Altman, on his first timed lap out through Sector 1.
The infamous Zane.
Yeah, Zane Bradley, the masked man from last season, of course.
The one who guaranteed himself a podium in Baku and promptly sent it into the wall. But did come back, but sent it into the wall again.
I mean, Babe Ruth style. The man called his shot even before the race or anything had even began. He said that he was going to win the race and ended up P2. It was quite a call, I must say. Purple again through Sector 2, it looks like.
He just rode the curb and through 12, and normally that is but a death sentence, and he was able to. Car looks very planted. He is really working the Alpine.
Through the final
really
corner he
interested
comes
to see where he stands. Yeah.
over the line, and he may be in that top 3. He will be with the 129.5. He is the third driver into the 129s. However, not good enough to pit Boriyoshi or Mikey de Jong for their positions. It'll be P3 for the time being for Jackson Altman.
You just expected the Red Bulls to be the tone setters here, but look at these guys at the top, all separated by 1, 2, and 3, separated by just 3.5 tenths. Y'all know Jamie Knock, former Alfa Romeo driver. He's got pace. We saw him have a miserable, but later came back in the season open last year.
What a roller coaster of a season it was for Jamie Knock at the time last season in the Alfa Romeo. I mean, he had all the pace in the world. He was showing it from the jump, but in most cases just could not take it across the line with that same consistency.
Oh, and Mikey puts it into the 128s, Alex.
He is the first driver into the 128s, of course, and just extending that lead over Boriyoshi for the time being.
And I hate to say it, we were chatting with him and Boriyoshi pre-race in the commentators booth just to get a feel, and our defending champion was not practicing. He simply just hasn't touched the game. It's just natural raw talent, and that's just you gotta feel for the rest of the grid, because imagine if he had practice, Alex. It's insane.
He certainly does have a feel for it. That seems to be on another level, bar his teammate who will be missing for this qualifying session, Abdullah Al-Hazmi. They seem to be the only two drivers that had pace consistent with, the times that they were laying down together. No other driver was really able to touch them except for maybe Matthew Stotts at certain points throughout the last season.
The Red Bull actually puts in a competitive lap. There it is, P2, P3. And you expected that, but still nowhere near the McLaren.
Across the line they go. The next drivers into the 129s, it will be Kyler Boggs, P2, and AJ Knickel, P3 for the time being. Nice split for that Red Bull team. Want to give a quick shout out, of course, to some of the drivers we have not mentioned yet. Jamie Knock got his mention. However, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer quietly throughout the last season just tearing it up, I must say. He was the silent assassin, and of course he penned the Jurgensmeyer signature move of qualifying 12th nearly every race and then making his way up into P6 by the end of the second lap. It was just like the Jurgensmeyer signature move. We always looked forward to it and we always expected it. It was just like a guaranteed happening every time, and he just did it so silently. His performance last season didn't come with really much issue, didn't get into any incidents or whatnot. He just very quietly made his way through the season, and yeah, I must say it was a very underrated season for him. At the moment, sitting P7.
Yeah, common Jurgensmeyer dub, but super consistent. I mean, the only falter he had last year really was the Dutch strategy, but you really couldn't blame him for just doing something different there. Obviously, the soft tire's not making it while he was in the lead, but applaud the effort. But what an epitome of consistency last season.
In the Haas, no less. And of course, it wasn't a realistic season as this was, but still should be mentioned just for the sake of it. Conditions much different this time around, of course, being a realistic setting season. So, performance should match a lot of what we've seen IRL for the past few years.
Boryoshi splits the Red Bulls with a 129.2.
Looks like it, and it's an
Mikey
early
de Jong
retirement for
satisfied.
Mikey de Jong. Yeah, he is satisfied, no doubt, with that 128.9. He will be sitting upon that for the last 2 minutes of the session. And it's really crunch time for these last few drivers on the track that are looking to lay down a lap time here.
Ayrton Frederick starts his first lap. His last lap, rather.
Hoping to improve from that P15 position, but of course doing it in a Williams should be mentioned.
Ryan Nugent starts his last lap. Adam Pelk, I believe, is coming to the line. Just doesn't really improve.
I would hope so. He would be putting in back-to-back laps if he does choose to go again this time around.
Or Julio will start his final lap. As well as Andrew Davis. Who's this coming around the corner? Jamie Knox starting his final lap.
And of course, finally, everybody's been waiting for it. We do finally have an appearance by Abdullah Hazmi joining at the buzzer, if nothing else. He will not be able to participate in this qualifying session, of course. He'll be starting from the back of the grid for the race, but he is here nonetheless. Mike de Jong has his teammate, and our runaway duo from last season looks poised to strike yet again.
Kyler Boggs done. What is Ridwan gonna do at the line? Doesn't improve. He's actually slower by 0.2.
Not able to. It looks like he will be starting from that P10 position, barring any change behind him on the grid.
Oh, Jackson Altman is gonna start his lap with the best track conditions.
Only a few seconds remaining here. It looks like maybe that second Aston Martin. No, most certainly not. Yeah, it looks like
AJ's
only
not
the
gonna
first
get back
Aston.
to the line to start a lap.
It looks like Jonathan Jurgensmeyer may be the last one over the line to start a lap. It'll really be a buzzer beater if he makes it right here, though. Will he? It does not look like he's going to make it over the line in time.
Julius Dooku spins in the last corner. The same situation that happened to Jack Aiken in 2020. Shout out Sakir. Andrew Davis puts his Aston Martin P7.
A bit of a shake-up here. Jamie Knock moving his way up into P4 in the Alpine. Nice showing from him.
Calamity for Red Bull. You expect Red Bull to be up there. Surely 1 and 2, given the Verstappening.
Looks like it's not to be this time around for the qualifying session. Of course, the race may have plenty more in store for us. We've yet to see the full performance of these cars under realistic settings for this 2024 season. Only a short time away now, of course, just the last few drivers making their way over the line. Jackson Altman seems to be, but does not seem like he'll be improving by very much, if at all. And he improves by 3/1000ths of a second. Wow. Really burning it down.
Hazmi went out there just to burn a set of tires to get a feel for the car.
And honestly, you might as well. He understands the situation. He knows he'll be starting from P17 for the Grand Prix, but any time on track is worth it at this point. In his case, specifically. Another early retirement from Ryan Nugent. I think we missed that a few minutes ago, but he will be holding on to that P9 position. And it looks like the grid is set here. Adam Pelk will be the last one across the line and not able to improve, so it will be pole position here for Mikey de Jong, of course. I think it's Boryoshi that'll be right alongside him on row 1.
Kyler Boggs.
I'm sorry, it is Kyler Boggs. Boryoshi will be on row 2 alongside Jamie Knock. Row 3 will be occupied by AJ Knickel and Jackson Altman. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and Andrew Davis looking to get the best of each other from row 4. Ryan Nugent and Ridwan Hamza, newcomers to the grid, will be starting from row 5, P9 and T10 respectively. Adam Pelk and Julius Duku will long up alongside each other. And then we have Corey and Deshaun Davidson bringing up those last few positions. I believe... Who else are we missing here? It is Ayrton Frederick who will get P15 off qualifying. Gabe Cazola will take the final running spot. However, he did have that early incident which barred him from putting in a lap time, and Abdul Al-Hazmi, the late join, will cost him some positions, of course. We expect him on any given weekend to really lay it down, and he's usually among the top of the fighters, but for this one, he will be starting from the back of the pack, and it looks like we are set to go here. Not sure if the game has fixed itself in terms of allowing for a formation lap. I know that was a big point of contention last season. A lot of glitch outs and lag outs and a lot of problems with the game and the lobbies themselves caused by the formation lap specifically. So we may be just right into it here. Totally not sure about it though.
Yeah, Mikey DeYoung already ready to pull a leg out on the competition, picking up where he left off.
And you can only
And
imagine for the first 2 or 3 laps or so, Mikey DeYoung is just going to be super aggressive, not really worrying too much about extending tire life later in his stint. He will be looking to lay it down and lay it down quick.
yeah, he's gonna have Kyler Boggs, who we saw was a bit of a speed horse there in the Euro F1 season, not able to keep up with Luis Ramirez. I believe that was his name. Was it Luis?
Which username?
LFDR.
Yes, Luis Ramirez, I believe. It looks like we will be doing a formation lap, thankfully. Hope nothing goes wrong afterwards. I don't imagine it will, of course. Being a few months back now that we were experiencing issues, can only hope that Codemasters kind of got their act together and put a stop to all that nonsense.
Yeah, you expect nothing less from a AAA game. Obviously, they handle their business really quick and nothing really lingers. Sarcasm, of course. I'm excited, Alex. 17 cars on the grid, and you got 2 McLarens at either end of the grid pointed. So, interested to see what these new guys can do. Interested to see what Kyler Boggs can do, given great equipment. But the competition around him, we obviously know what Mikey DeYoung can do. We already know what the runner-up of the runner-up can do in Borioshi there in the Ferrari. And AJ and Jamie Knock right behind him, too. This is going to be spicy.
Yeah, lots of exciting matchups all the way up and down the grid, of course, as you mentioned. Mikey DeYoung looking to hold off Kyler Boggs and Borioshi, as well as teammate Abdullah Hazmi all the way on the other side of the grid, looking to pick off as many as he can in this first stint. I expect Adam Pelk to be looking to make moves into the points if possible, starting from that P11 position, but Ridwan, of course. Great driver over on GT7, making his way over onto F1. We'll be seeing how he does. We'll be watching his career with great interest. But here we are, folks, 5.4 kilometers around the Bahrain International Circuit, right in the heart of the Middle East desert, of course. Challenging layout, a few long straights, a few tight corners, but most of all, it's the tricky braking zones that'll get you. Hoping that weather conditions sort of play into the favor of the drivers, of course, since we will be starting a nighttime race. Might be a bit cooler temps, should be able to run a little bit longer than otherwise.
Yep. Cooler track temperatures, but not really air temp.
Alright, and we seem to be set to go. Going to watch along with Borioshi at the start here, just to see how well these top 3 get away. And here we are, folks. It is lights out and away we go from here in Bahrain for the 2024 ARC F1 season. Boryoshi with a great takeoff off of the line, already alongside Mikey de Jong to some extent into turn 1. He will be forced a bit wide, but does manage to tuck it in well enough. Kyler Boggs holding his own. However, it's Jackson Altman looking to make the move around the outside of Boryoshi, and he does. He makes it stick. Boryoshi now alongside AJ Knickel in the other Red Bull, fighting for P4. And Jamie Knock will get that position over Boryoshi as well. Wow, what a good getaway off of the line for Boryoshi, but just could not navigate those corners well enough. And it's already getting rather dicey.
Kyler Boggs started on the softs. Mikey de Jong on the hards.
It's the Ferrari around. Boryoshi will drop to the back of the pack here, unfortunately. Making his way back onto the track now. Cautions are out, if only briefly, but he will have lots of catching up to do. And it should be noted, of course, Abdullah Hazmi all the way up into P11 from P17 through the first half of a lap or so.
Yeah, watch his progress throughout the day. You know he's going to be licking his lips.
Mikey de Jong did get a decent getaway, however, it was holding his own through the first few corners that's really solidified his P1 position. However, it's Kyler Boggs looking to make the move rather quickly as he does up the inside, and he pips that P1 from Mikey de Jong into the lead.
Mikey de Jong gets a lot of oversteer out of the final corner, and that's going to open up the door for Jackson Altman. It's a drag race to T1.
Yep. Fronts to the side pod for just a moment there for Jackson Altman. Takes the inside line through turn 1. However, not enough to get Mikey de Jong for that P2 position.
And Jamie Knock battling with AJ Knickel too. And the two Aston Martin drivers. Jurgensmeyer's just going to let Andrew through here. Probably smart. Let him go up there and fight these guys here.
Maybe some team orders going on down there at the Aston team. One being released while the other waits for their chance. However, a great start here for Mikey de Jong, however, just could not hold it long enough to hold off the Red Bull of Kyler Boggs up into the lead of this Grand Prix, and already almost 3/4 of a second ahead.
Yeah, Gabe Cazola had a moment there at the beginning of Sector 2. It's local yellow, but he's back on it down in P16.
Kyler Boggs, of course, opting to start this race on the soft compound tires. We'll take a look right now at the tire choice for everybody up and down the grid. It is Mikey de Jong starting from pole on the hard compound tires. That may have played a role, of course, in that pass that Kyler Boggs was able to make, being on the soft compound tires, of course. Then it's mediums for Jackson Altman and softs for AJ Knickel. A good mix all the way up and down the grid. It does not seem there is any one uniform strategy that these drivers are sticking to, all of them running their own to some extent. Julius Duku making the move, if only for a moment, but gets passed immediately by Al-Hazmi, Ridwan, and Adam Pelk for the points-paying positions. He's down to P11 already.
That's crazy. 3 laps, and Al-Hazmi's up into the points here. Ooh, as we see Ridwan get a bit of a tank slapper, as you'd say, Alex. Ooh, in the Australian connection, you can see it's a bit unnerving there.
And an early retirement there for the Mercedes of Gabe Cazola. It has brought out the safety car.
Wow.
Must have been some goings-on at the back of the pack that we did not catch. However, that is calamity for the Mercedes, unfortunately. So we'll stack back up and do it all over again. And of course, this only plays into the hands of those soft tire runners, extending the lifespan of this first stint, if nothing else.
Now, conversely, you can say the same thing about the hards, Alex, because the longer they're able to keep those things intact, they could potentially just go from the hard directly to a soft. And, sorry, but Mikey de Jong running around out there in a soft set of compound tires is probably not what the field wants to see.
It's a sight to behold. That is a scary proposition. And I'm sure that's one that he's looking to make come true at some point later in this race. However, for the time being, we will be stacked up behind the safety car. Front runners ducking their way into the pits for a very early pit stop, only lap 4 at the moment. However, it looks like it will be Kyler Boggs as well as Jamie Knock And who else is in the pits? Ridwan is in the pits. Mikey DeYoung is in the pits. Ryan
Tyler
Nugent is in the
Boggs,
pits.
Ryan Nugent, yeah. This is Boryoshi pits as well. Same with Tactile. Uh, a bit interesting. Lap 4, especially the hards. Oh no. It says we've lost Mikey DeYoung. I mean, how has me? Quickly just try and get him back.
As some of the drivers cycle through their first pit stops, it's Al Hazmi, the big winner here, as well as that Aston team, P3, P3, P4, P5, sorry, for all of them, making their way right up through that rotation of drivers that pitted early. And that's a podium position for the time being for that Aston Martin team. Al Hazmi, of course, in a matter of 4 laps, making up, 12 positions already.
Yeah. Biggest gainer, Al Hazmi, 12 spots. Biggest loser, Boryoshi, losing 13.
Yeah, that early spin for the Ferrari really killed any chance of a good first stint. He's really going to have to bust it out in the next one, if anything. Looking to make the Al Hazmi move here, he will be in P16 for the restart, making up as many positions as he can hope to before he has to duck back in for another tire change.
Not sure what did Mikey DeYoung go on to. They went all onto the medium tires. This puts AJ and Adam Pelk out there on softs, where a lot of these guys kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of
Seems like it.
thing.
A few drivers towards the back of the pack opting to go onto those hard compound tires after calamity and incidents in the first few laps. Deshaun Davidson and Boryoshi chief among them. Rest of the field seems to have swapped to mediums for the time being. But it's AJ Knickel on the soft compound tires that he started this race on that will really be the interesting one to watch out for here.
I mean, still early days. Plus, like I said, this is absolutely winter testing. I know a lot of the guys are just thinking, we'll just take these 10 races to get in position for the real championship, but also at the same time, take it very seriously and want to be successful and compete and have competitive cars and want to compete for wins and points and a championship. So there's a mixed bag. While it's not as serious as the 24 race, it still sits for a guy like AJ who's looking for a win, looking for a bounce back season after last year. So it remains to be seen. I mean, we could see AJ try and extend and then maybe go to the hards at the end, but it'll just flip where we see a lot of these medium guys. Most of the grid probably will be on hards towards the end of the race.
Jamie Knock, unfortunately, looking to have gotten the short end of the stick on that little rotation through first pit stops. Currently P12 outside of the points after a cracking first few laps.
Yep, but Jackson Altman looking good right now. He's shown pace in qualifying, shown pace thus far at the beginning of this stint. He's just going to have to hold off a charging bull behind him, but if it's anybody, it's Jackson Altman. Zane Bradley.
Yeah, showed plenty of pace throughout last season for the races that he did choose to participate in, of course. Didn't see him till about halfway through the season, and then didn't see him after, a certain point as well.
However, he came back at the tail end, too, under his true name, but nonetheless, the pace is there, Alex.
It will be on his go, of course, as Bernd Mailander driving the absolute balls off of that AMG safety car, ducking it back into the pits at the moment, and we will be going on Jackson Altman.
AJ's so close, he could just change the light LEDs on the back of the Alpine. He is not leaving any quarter. Oh, and
he's
Jackson's
off.
kind of got him sleeping there, though.
Andrew Davis, with a bit of a twitch on the restart, may have lost some of the momentum he was hoping to catch AJ Knickel with. AJ, however, getting just as good of a getaway as Jackson Altman did, read it perfectly off the restart. However, we will hold station for the time being. Bit of a change-up throughout the order. Adam Pelk making his way up into P6 over Julius Duku. Kyler Boggs as well making his way up. Mikey DeYoung making the move on the Williams of Ayrton Frederick for P9. And it's only up from here for some of these boys.
A lot of mixed tires here. Ooh, so close there between the Williams and Mercedes. Pelk and Julius Duca. Oh, and they do touch.
Oh, and he
As
does
oh,
force
and
him off to some extent. Julius
almost
Duca
comes back to collect
rejoining.
Kyler.
Yeah,
Oh,
right
we are
into
3
the...
wide right now, and someone had to give, but Mikey ain't giving. Mikey took that opportunity and said, "Thank you very much." Moves himself from P9 to P7 in a
Bit of a
blink of an
twitch
eye.
there for Adam Pelk as well. That's going to give the Williams of Julius Duca the chance, as well as Jamie Nock, who comes up the inside.
I'll say this, Alex. Jackson Altman has already stretched his legs to 1.2 seconds
Wow,
over
yeah, look at that.
AJ in P2. Jackson Altman dub, was that on the wild card today? It was your 2024 beginning bingo.
I mean, it was somewhere on my 2024 bingo card. However, it was not necessarily the first space I was expecting to cross out.
Definitely not a first round pick, but we'll take it nonetheless. Diamond in the rough. But these McLaren boys, we see that Al-Hazmi's joined back, but I don't think he's gotten control of his car yet.
Seems to be having some issues over there in the McLaren, unfortunately. It will
Just
be
gonna help his
Kyler
teammates scoot
Boggs.
by.
Kyler Boggs making the move around him, and then teammate Mikey DeYoung also making the move, and can't imagine that he's still racing that car at the moment, unfortunately. Boryoshi looking to pick
Ooh!
his way back up through the grid, currently P13, was P16
A-
off the restart.
AJ got a bit of snap oversteer through
Oh, and another twitch
P5.
there. Yeah. Saw him as he was coming through 7 and did not seem to have really good control of the car.
Oh, Kyler Boggs, a bit too aggressive, runs into the back of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Not sure if he got any damage from that, but that's not what you're trying to do this early, especially given the car you have. You know you got the pace. You gotta trying to check to see if there's any damage, but you never know. There could be a little bit there that we don't get to see. You know, it's just a little bit of chips.
And if nothing else, that did open the door, that little incident, for Mikey DeYoung to move his way past Jurgensmeyer as well, up into P5 for Mikey DeYoung, storming
Yeah,
his
Mikey
way
DeYoung's
back
just
onto the
been
podium.
sticking with him. You gotta think those softs might be falling off here for AJ. He's slowly falling into the clutches of Andrew Davis, former Alpine driver.
And it's tight running here for these top 5. I mean...
Oh, but here comes Kyler Boggs. Wow!
Making the move straight up the inside of 1, make it 2 cars, Andrew Davis and AJ Knickel losing out to Kyler Boggs on pace and merit alone, and he's taking off now. Jackson Altman is his to chase down alone. It looks like nobody will be joining him for the ride except for Mikey DeYoung, also making his way up through the fray into P3.
Well, looking at Kyler Boggs' telemetry, he has no ERS left. He used everything to make his way through the field, whereas a guy like Mikey DeYoung, kind of conservative with the energy deployment, but still used a lot of it. Oh, whoa. What did I just... Alright, that happened on stream too, where AJ went off the track and came back. Okay.
Yeah,
I
looks
thought
like
I was
it.
losing my mind. Alright.
No?
Mikey DeYoung seems to be in a great position, actually. Because it
He
seems like
does.
he's not really pushing as much as Boggs, but able to stay with him. He's going to be able to get DRS. And, oh, that is a big mosquito. Okay, get out of here.
Mikey DeYoung looking to hold it down for that McLaren team, of course. Teammate Al-Hazmi seems to be having some issues with connection, not able to race this Grand Prix to its full extent as Mikey DeYoung looks to make the move up the inside of the Red Bull of Kyler Boggs, and he does make it happen. Using plenty of ERS along the way, into turn 1 they go, and it is Mikey DeYoung up into P2. Jackson Altman is his next target.
Oh, and oh, there's huge trouble between an Alpine, an Aston Martin, and a Red Bull.
And this is a tight chain right here between these 4. It looks to be P4 down to P7. All of these drivers just nose to tail with each other, and maybe some slight contact there from Jamie Nock.
I believe the tires have died on the Red Bull.
More slight contact there into the back of the Red Bull of AJ Knickel, and it seems AJ is having some trouble getting the nose through those corners, as you mentioned, on those worn soft compound tires. Only 9 laps into this one, having the benefit of a safety car already as well, but still, those tires are falling off fast, it looks like.
Yeah. See, Ridwan and Boryoshi have managed to pull themselves back up after that pit stop.
Mikey,
Oh, okay. It's just another glitch.
Mikey DeYoung cutting heavily into that lead that Jackson Altman has built out up front. Down to about 1 second now, under 1 second. Was about 2 seconds when Mikey DeYoung took the P2 position from Kyler Boggs.
Yeah, but Kyler Boggs is gonna come back. He blocks inside. Just leaves enough room to the outside. Beautiful defending.
Oh,
By
looks
Mikey
up the
DeYoung.
inside, takes a peek, but tucks it back in behind DeYoung for the time being. DRS wide open for both of these drivers as they're just kind of playing leapfrog at this point, catching Jackson Altman.
A lot of questionable blocking moves there by Mikey DeYoung. I don't think Kyler will be too thrilled about that. But for Jackson Altman, it's not if
Oh,
Mikey DeYoung gets there. It's
into the
when.
back of the McLaren goes the Red Bull in a big twitch on corner exit there.
Oh, he has damage. He has damage.
Yes, it looks like the Red Bull of Kyler Boggs has lost an end plate, his right side end plate on his front wing, from that contact with the back of the McLaren.
Just drove it in there a bit too hot, Alex.
Oh, and we'll have to see how this plays out for the Red Bull. What choice will he make here? Just losing time, of course, to those top two. Mikey DeYoung all over the back of that Alpine now.
You almost got to pit and go to the hards here. Yeah, he's
And
ducking
it looks
in.
like
He's
he
got a
will.
save
Yep.
face.
It'll be a wing change and probably hard compound tires for the Red Bull of Boggs, unfortunately.
Beauty of league racing, we may be guaranteed another safety car. Especially, look at the gaggle of cars here in the back.
And
I
through
believe
the
Alhasman's
fray,
got control of his car.
I think he has as well. He's making his way back up through the grid, but it's Mikey DeYoung, teammate, who's made the move on Jackson Altman for the lead of this race. It is Mikey DeYoung leading by nearly half a second now.
Yeah, Boryoshi and Ridwan have made their way past AJ. AJ's starting to really feel the effects. Well, I say that as he's getting ready to make a challenge around the outside, but ultimately, bated breath.
Big twitches, probably just visual glitches. However, it seemed to be a bit of a twitch there for the Red Bull, and you have to imagine he's got a plan to come in soon if he hopes to hang on to one of these points-paying positions, if nothing else.
Gotta be careful riding that curb. Oh, yeah.
All the way out he goes.
Yeah. Not the race you'd expect from the Bulls. Ooh, as we see. Oh, no. There's trouble between. Oh, who was that? Blurry Julio. That was Julius Zuku and Al-Hazmi. It's getting tangled up there. As we see Ryan Nugent take advantage, slide his way up into P10, into the points for the Ferrari. That was close, Alex.
Seemed like
got that safety car.
I was totally expecting to see a car around. I was expecting to see debris. However, they seemed to keep it somewhat clean, at least for the time being. However, all of them in a tight DRS train at the moment.
Yeah, those tires were hooked like two teens at a frat party. They were. Oh, and Hazmi's definitely dealing with a bit of internet trouble today, unfortunately. It's the third time he's been kicked.
And everybody will be looking to have their shot at that McLaren from here on out, unfortunately. Next one to pass looks to be Adam Pelk, who does make his way around, as well as Deshaun Davidson.
I've noticed Jackson Altman has been able to stay with Mikey DeYoung, too. So he's been able to keep in that DRS range just to maintain the gap. And both of them pulled already 7 seconds out over third place Jamie Knock. Jamie Knox said he was about to cook. But to be fair, podium in an Alpine, the first race of the season, that's cooking.
I mean, at this rate, it looks like it'll be a double podium for the Alpine team. A great showing from them thus far, P2 and P3 for the moment. As well as the Aston Martin should be mentioned, of course. I mean, I know we shouted them out a bit earlier, but Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, Andrew Davis doing very well to hold down that P4 and P5 position.
Yep, those Aston Martins. You got two consistent guys. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer was at Haas last year, but him teaming up with Andrew, these guys have worked well together in the past. We've seen Andrew do well in the Jurg Grand Prix, the Vegas race that we had early in November. Andrew Davis is here to race. Whoa.
Did not expect to see that Ferrari come out of nowhere. It's
No,
Borioshi.
I won't lie. I was riding on board with Andrew Davis. Just come in. You got the same view I did. I just
Oh,
looked at
yeah.
why. Borioshi said, "Thank you very much." Sets his sights out on the Alpines.
Borioshi way up past both of those Aston Martins into
He's
P4.
doing the Al Hazmi, Mikey De Jong strat, spin early at Bahrain and then claw your way back from last.
Yeah, should definitely be mentioned, of course. Borioshi getting the short end of the stick on the first lap incident. He did end up at the back of the grid after a spin, and it seemed to have bottled his race, but all the way storing back up into P4 for the time being, on those hard compound tires no less, so he'll be looking to make it last.
This just in, Jamie Knock overheard on team radio, got damaged twice, falling off the back of his teammate here and falling into the clutches of Borioshi. You hate to see that.
Yeah, nearly a second and a half loss to those lead two since we last checked in on them, unfortunately. Now about 8.2 seconds.
He's going to have to hold on to the next stop.
And this is it. From here, it looks to be a war of attrition. We're coming up on just about the halfway point of this Grand Prix. And so far, there's been some shakeups. However, I mean, things at the front have been spicy, if nothing else. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer making the move on teammate Andrew Davis for the moment, who ducks himself into the pits. Ridwan also making his way up into P6 in the Alfa Romeo. It's going to be so weird when, you know...
Julius Dooku takes a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh, he will be the third to pick up a penalty on the grid so far. Of course, Adam Pelk and Ayrton Frederick yet to serve their penalties.
Yeah, we see AJ got off those softs, but the cost was all the way back to P14, 6 seconds off the nearest car, but he's got the car to pick himself up and salvage some points here.
Onto the mediums he will go in that Red Bull, and it looks like he's going to make them last till the end if possible. Interesting, just because we saw those soft compound tires start to drop off around lap 8 or lap 9, he's going to really have to pray that those medium tires last any bit longer. With about, 15 and a half laps remaining in this Grand Prix, that'll be a tough task for that Red Bull. Adam Pelk in the same boat, though, currently down in P15, pitted on the same lap as AJ Knickel, and also opted for those medium compound tires.
Borioshi within DRS range. Just see Jamie Knock will pit.
From P4 into the pits, and you have to imagine this will be an extended stop given the damage repair that he will probably need to do. It will be a front wing swap for the Alpine of Jamie Knock.
Gonna lose an additional 5, 6
and no
seconds
tires, just the wing for Jamie Knock there.
Oh no, he put mediums. He went medium to medium.
Did he now? Oh, I didn't see the...
Oh,
he
not a tire
most
stat,
certainly
it just says
did.
0, yeah.
Most certainly did.
It really didn't look like they changed them. That's why I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I was a
looked
bit
over,
confused.
I was like, that's strange.
Being released right into the jaws of the Williams of Ayrton Frederick. Jamie Knock will be looking to make his way back out from P12.
Yep. Ayrton Frederick with 14 laps older tires. Former teammates last season as well, both in the Alfa Romeo.
a change of pace for just about everybody on the grid. Of course, this being a realistic settings F1 season as well. A bit different from the last time out when we saw these drivers. Should be mentioned though, of the newcomers to the grid, I mean, all's well for them thus far. Ridwan Hamza up into P5, teammate Corey, also a newcomer, in P8 at the moment, 2 point scoring positions for that Alfa Romeo team. Who else do we have? Deshaun Davidson, I'm not sure that he's raced F1 before, at least
Nope,
not that I've
he's a
called.
NASCAR driver
Yeah.
that I've done a lot of NASCAR heat racing with in the past. I believe also some iRacing, but
Oh, and looks to be a big incident there for the Red Bull of AJ Knickel. May have been a spin. He was way off, and now he's just going super wide. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't see any damage on his car, of course, just visually,
probably
though.
just he superheated the tires there.
Does not seem to be missing any end plates or body work, but of course, I mean, the game does not always show all damage visually. He will be ducking into the pits off those somewhat fresh
Oof,
medium compound tires. And he
is
will
this a
be
retirement?
speeding. Oh, it might be a retirement here, unfortunately, for the Red Bull. It will not be, actually.
Oh no,
Onto
he's
the
gonna.
hards he'll go with a front wing swap.
I must have missed the incident in which he took damage. He's gonna serve his 5 seconds,
Man,
or
at the back of the
I don't
pack
know.
he is with only about 12 and a half laps remaining in this Grand Prix. It'll be quite the fight for him to pick his way back up into the points. But of course, taking our sights back to the front, it is Mikey de Jong sort of running away from Jackson Altman at this point. Well out of DRS range, the gap about 1.7 seconds. Boryoshi, though, looking to have a say in the matter, if nothing else. Now under 10 seconds when the gap was about 14 seconds just 1 or 2 laps ago.
Yeah, I just think Boryoshi might run out of laps here to catch up, but what a recovery from being spun around there back into the podium positions.
And of course, it's the silent assassin, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, holding it down in P4. We were, singing the praises of that Aston Martin team, holding down P4 and P5 for most of the race thus far. However, Andrew Davis seems to have had some type of issue. He may have had an early pit stop, maybe. But
Yep,
Jonathan Jurgensmeyer holding tight.
I believe they were first in the pits, so they went off their tire strategy during the first safety car. So they're probably, I believe, oh, hold on. Jeez Louise. No, Jurgensmeyer has yet to pit. He's on 16 lap olds, so he's still on his scheduled stop. I just really confused about. I don't believe Jackson Altman pit, so he'll have to pit again. Question is, will Mikey de Jong be able to eke those tires out from hards pit on lap 3 and then the mediums?
Certainly an
Questionable.
interesting strategy call for that McLaren. 12 laps, 11 laps now as they come across the line.
Oh, and there
Jackson
goes
Altman
Jackson Altman.
will be ducking into the pits for his first stop at this Grand Prix, pitting from P2. That will give Boryoshi the spot for the time being. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer as well. Believe
Boryoshi
that
doesn't have to pit again.
Altman should be released here into P6, I want to say. Maybe P7. Or maybe not, as Jonathan Jurgensmeyer also finds his way into the pits. So he will be released in P5, Jackson Altman, right into the back of Kyler Boggs. And it's game on from here. Onto the
Yeah, he's
fresh,
on the
soft
softs.
compound tires. Yeah.
And he's already up alongside and by
Making the
Kyler.
move up the inside he goes and cleanly making the pass.
I can tell
However,
you what, those two drivers do not like each other.
it's a it's a tall task for Jackson Altman to try to make those soft compound tires last the remaining 11 or 12 laps of this Grand Prix. Of course, having seen AJ Knickel starting on the soft compound tires, only was able to make them last about 8 or 9 laps.
Yeah, they certainly fell off rather quickly, but given the right person, you never know. The tools might be, as we see AJ actually
And of
go
course,
quickest.
Speak of the man himself, as soon as we mention his name, he will take the purple for that lap. However, he'll need to get up into the points for it to be worth much of anything. As we see Julius Dooku making the move on teammate Ayrton Frederick right up into the back of Adam Pelk now, and this is a tight battle for the final points paying position.
This is a Williams against a Mercedes.
On realistic settings, no less. Both of them, of course, on those hard compound tires. Actually, I believe Adam Pelk, yes, he's on the mediums. Bit of a shake-up here in the front as well, as Jackson Altman has come out in front of Mikey de Jong. Not too sure what happened there. Might have been an issue for Mikey. But now he's on the tail end of the
Just
Alpine.
the undercut. He was on the softs.
That's right.
Those were always going to be faster. But Mikey's on fresher mediums, and we've seen the pace that Mikey has. We've seen the fall-off that AJ suffered. So look for Jackson Altman to maybe extend the gap here, but then it's going to fall back to Mikey de Jong, which is great. We see Boryoshi went back into the pit as well. Obviously, those hards weren't going to last that long, but he's still in a good position here. Be able to chip his way through.
Opting, of course, for the medium compound now in the late stage of the race. And Kyler Boggs, I mean, slowly but silently making his way up to those lead two runners. About 2.5 seconds behind them at the moment, but still picking away at that lead, at that gap.
I just think that Mikey is on the better tire strategy here.
It will be an interesting call, and of course one that we won't see the results of come to fruition until late in this race, late in this stint that these two drivers are both on. Mikey de Jong seems to be playing the long game to some extent. However, the gap all the way down to half a second with DRS assistance coming across the line into turn one. Right up
Jackson
into the back.
Missing the apex. He's able to get such a good drive off the corner with those soft compound tires.
You just have to worry, though, that with Mikey de Jong racing Jackson as hard as he is right now, it's going to be a struggle city for that Alpine come the end of this race.
Yeah, you can see Mikey's not really deploying a lot. He's just kind of letting the car do the work. He wants Jackson to essentially, like you said, beat himself up or beat the tires up.
And all Mikey really has to do is stick with him. As long as he's within DRS range, he'll be able to pull right up to the back of that Alpine and keep him under pressure for the duration of this race.
And actually, Kyler Boggs is the losing time for these guys.
He is now, yeah.
That's a given considering the tires, how Crofty said it, the unknown vintage of the tires.
Let's take a look at the closest gap of all drivers on track at the moment. It is Ryan Nugent fighting for the final points paying position with Adam Pelk. Julius Dooku in their sights as well. Ryan Nugent making the move up the inside here of Adam Pelk, and he does make it work. Up into P10 he goes. Yes, Al Hazmi storming his way back up into the points. It's still unclear to me if Al Hazmi is actually racing that car, and he seems to be. And it is Mikey de Jong.
To another lead change.
Seem to be just trading places here. Mikey de Jong looking to make the move yet again. Oh, and there's contact.
More contact, more contact.
They seem to be wheel banging here. I think Jackson Altman kind of understanding the assignment. All he can really hope to do is get out front and stick his elbows out, but just not far enough that time for Mikey de Jong, who's free and clear to run this till the end of the Grand Prix.
That was really Jackson's shot right there. It's just had to keep his muscles and elbows out there.
Hasn't really afforded anybody else a chance to come into the fray by any means, of course. Kyler Boggs now 6 seconds behind these lead two.
They might be squabbling amongst themselves, but they've managed to maintain their speed and increase that gap by 2 seconds over 2 laps. as it continues to grow, actually.
Boryoshi now looking to make a move on this Aston Martin of Andrew Davis, it looks like. Picking his way back up through the grid. Right up to the tail end of that Aston as they come across turn 15 and over the line they'll go. Is there enough with DRS assistance for Boryoshi to pull it out? And he does. Breezes right past that Aston Martin. Up into P5 he goes. Mikey DeYoung, Jackson Altman still trading positions. It's been just leapfrog up here for these two.
Boryoshi will now set his sights on Jamie Knock. Oh, the hiccups are absolutely killing me right now.
Only a few laps left here, of course, about 7.5 for these drivers. If there's any time to really pull one out of the bag, it is now. Jackson Altman with some DRS assistance down the backstretch. Let's see if it's enough. Not quite. He tucks it back in behind Mikey DeYoung.
Penalties for Ridwan there.
Unfortunate for Ridwan, of course, a newcomer to the grid, and it seems that I'm not sure if that's a retirement or a connection issue. Of course, playing from pretty much the other side of the globe from the rest of these racers.
Boryoshi might still be on for a podium here. As soon as he gets to Jamie Knock, we got to assume that this pass will end up happening, considering the pace difference.
With DRS assistance as they come around the final corner, and there is a crash. Oh, and who is it?
It's AJ Knickel for the third time today.
Oh, he's taken a big chunk out of the side pod of that Red Bull, unfortunately. That's going to compromise his lap time and, you know, everything else from here. His race may be good as done, unfortunately. Only 6.5 laps left to run. We stay green, though. Not enough debris to warrant a safety car or a VSC or anything by that means. Gets it back onto the track, but 15.5 seconds behind Deshaun Davidson for the moment, unfortunately. Corey making the move on Julius Dooku here for P11. He'll be fighting for his first points-paying position of his ARC F1 career. Julius, though, not having any of that. Looks to make the move around the outside. Now looks to make the switch back. Not quite enough there to make it happen, though.
And Boryoshi has taken almost a full second.
Yeah, the gap between P4 and P3 now down to about 2.5 seconds.
Tyler Boggs seeing that podium almost slipping away. Oh, and that's AJ off again. AJ's beached it on the curb.
Oh,
AJ's
no.
absolutely beached the car.
Yeah, he's trying to get her going, but it doesn't seem like he's able to. Oh, the car is stuck. Oh, unfortunate
I've never seen that
for the Red Bull. Just totally beached. Yeah, that is kind of strange. Rear wheels just spinning their way through the gravel. Does manage to get it going.
But as he gets it going, he was disqualified for sitting still. I wish the game recognized that. Oh, that is not fair.
That will drop him, of course, to the lowest position of the leaderboard, being a disqualification rather than a DNF, unfortunately.
But don't look now, Boryoshi's on the back of the Red Bull.
He seems to be almost within DRS range of Kyler Boggs now. With only about 5.5 laps left to race, they're making their way through Sector 2 at the moment, and I mean, a podium is definitely in the machinations of that Ferrari driver's mind, of course. I'm sure he's hunting down that P3 and hoping to make a move if and when possible.
Kyler's got to get the elbows out here. He's got to make that Red Bull the widest thing on the track in order to keep the Ferrari driver behind him. Oh, and he's out of ERS too.
He does.
He's mostly a sitting bull.
Boriyoshi super late on the brakes there through turns 14 and 15, really making up a lot of time here to the Red Bull. Now well within a second, only about half a second the gap between them. Less now as they make their way through turns 1 and 2.
It's not a matter of if, it's kind of when, Alex.
Taking a peek back at our lead 2 drivers, and it's Mikey de Jong kind of pulling away from Jackson Altman at this point, and I'm sure Mikey feels that this one is in the bag at this point. Oh yeah, right up to the tail of the Red Bull goes the Ferrari of Boriyoshi. Breathing down his neck, fighting for that final podium position. Want to say hello to DEM.
The important thing is to show
What's up?
patience here.
Wow, great race thus far, I must say. I mean, everybody came out swinging for the first Grand Prix of the season, and you just love to see that. Lots in store for the rest from here on out, but...
Not what you expected for a realistic grid, Alex.
No, I must not.
But pleasantly surprised.
I made the call early on in qualifying that I expected things to go a certain way, and they just most certainly have not.
They didn't follow the script. You see Kyler weaving to avoid, but it's just... You've really
it's
just
too much pace
washed
in the
off a lot more
Ferrari.
Speed.
Oh, some slight contact there as Kyler tries to make a last-second defensive move, but Boriyoshi getting the inside line through the first 3 corners, and it is plenty for him to be up into P3. Now nearly a second over Kyler. Bit of a bit of an interesting maneuver there by Kyler, weaving his way down the straight like that.
Shades of Verstappen. But when you weave that aggressively, all you're really doing is scrubbing off speed. Especially when the guy behind you has DRS, slipstream, and ERS deployed, so...
Yeah.
Kind of a moot point.
So, tall task here for Boriyoshi to try to make any more positions from here. Of course, about 10.5 seconds the gap from him to the Alpine of Jackson Altman, and I think that's a bit insurmountable at this point in the race, unfortunately.
Yeah,
However,
well, when you're Boriyoshi staring at the wrong direction after a spin early on, P3 it's got to feel like a win at this point.
Yeah, he pulled the Checo Sakir 2020 maneuver.
Mm-hmm. Strong rear suspension.
Great race thus far from our leaders. Changing hands, the lead went for a bit there from Jackson Altman to Mikey de Jong and back again, but at this point it seems to be Mikey de Jong who's just building himself out quite a substantial lead over that Alpine. Gap almost 3.5 seconds now.
As we see the Aston Martins trading spots. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer on the 9-lap old softs. Andrew Davis on the 13-lap old hards.
Maybe some team orders going on here, or maybe
they're
not.
Able to race.
Wheel to wheel they go into, what is that, turn 5, I want to say, turn 4?
That would be 4.
And it's Jurgensmeyer getting the best of teammate Andrew Davis after Davis getting the DRS slip on Jurg. So, we're off to the races here, folks. I mean, only about 2.5 laps remaining. And everything's still up for grabs to some extent. I mean, barring the final positions. Ayrton Frederick and Deshaun Davidson unfortunately seem to be out of the chase for points for this one. However, I really think that Corey in the Alfa Romeo could have a chance of catching up to teammate Ridwan for that final points paying position. Everybody else seems to be holding station, of course, besides these Aston Martins, really having a go at each other here.
As it stands now, Corey Chan will receive his first career points because Ridwan has 6 seconds of penalties.
Oh, that's true. So across they go for the penultimate lap, the leaders making their way through Sector 1 at the moment, and only 5 sectors remaining in this Bahrain Grand Prix from here. It's Mikey DeYoung with about a 3.5-second lead over Jackson Altman. Boriyoshi doing his
Oh,
best to catch the tail end of that fight, but probably just not enough, still about 10 seconds off of them.
Jamie Knock is slowly pulling in the gap to Kyler here as we get ready to start the last lap. To the Assens trading spots again. Hopefully they don't trade carbon fiber. Nope, they don't.
Yeah, lots of
Respectable, as always.
leapfrogging going on here. Those Aston Martins really having a go at one another. I'm sure race engineers are not too happy about it, but as you mentioned, no damage thus far, so I mean, all's fair game.
Just don't think Jamie Knock has it left in the tank to just reel in Kyler for P4.
On those old medium compound tires, of course, 13 laps, the age of Jamie Knox tires. 17 for Kyler Boggs tires, but of course, on those hard compounds, I mean, it's kind of the exact position you want to be in at the moment. As we cross the line for the final lap of this Grand Prix, of course, Mikey DeYoung building himself out a comfortable lead. And here we go, folks. This will be it. No drivers have been lapped thus far. Everybody will be on the lead lap across the line this time.
I mean, what a race from Mikey. What a race from Jackson Altman as well. He took advantage early, got himself in position. Not quite the 1-2 that he predicted, but P2 for the team nonetheless. Jamie
I
Knock just
Yeah,
has
great
had an
showing.
excellent job too.
Great
Yeah.
showing here from the Alpines. P2 and P5 would definitely be a happy finish for that team. Of course, Abdul Al-Hazmi, teammate of leader Mikey DeYoung, down in P8 at the moment, and I can only imagine that he'd be much higher if not for the trouble he's been having most of the race.
Yep, connection issues and
Bit
the sort.
disappointing if nothing else. Through the final sector they'll go now, Mikey DeYoung and Jackson Altman. The gap now about 4.2 seconds between the two of them. So this seems like it will be in our inaugural 2024 ARC F1 realistic season. A win here for Mikey DeYoung as he crosses the line in first. Jackson Altman will come across in second, and a great race from the two of them, but Mikey DeYoung just getting the better of it. Bringing up the rear of that lead pack, the final podium position will go to Boriyoshi. And then Kyler Boggs close behind. A great race from him as well, but not able to make it stick in the latter stages. Jamie Knock holding on for a P5 in the Alpine. Good showing from him as well. And it's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer beating Andrew Davis, teammate, to the line for that P6 position. Al-Hazmi will have to settle for P8 for the moment. Ryan Nugent will be next across the line. Newcomer to the grid, his inaugural ARC F1 race. He will be a point scorer in that P9 position. Corey Chan as well, newcomer to the grid, will be scoring his first points here in an ARC F1 series. Coming home in P10th, teammate Ridwan right behind for 11. Julius Duca will take... No, he won't. I'm sorry. I forgot to factor in the penalties. It will be Corey Chan in 10th, Adam Pelk in 11th, and Ridwan dropping, unfortunately, to P12 after the penalty assessment. Julius Duca as well, with his own penalty assessment, will fall to P13 for the finish, right up in front of teammate Ayrton Frederick, coming home in P14 for the Williams. And there you have it, folks. What a great race to kick off this season. It is Mikey DeYoung taking it home to start us off. Great battles all the way through with him and Jackson Altman of the Alpine. However, Mikey DeYoung just seeming to get the better of it this time around. So your
Yep.
podium here will be Mikey DeYoung P1, Jackson Altman P2, and Boriyoshi taking P3 after a storming comeback on the first lap incident, all the way down to the back of the grid, all the way up to the final podium position. Great race from all three of them, I must say.
Yeah, that was definitely a way you want to kick off the season, especially in the realistic, and there's no Red Bulls on the podium, so get them while you can, boys, before the Red Bulls get their wits about them.
Yeah, I hope that you guys didn't place any bets on the results of this, because it is not at all what I would have expected, and I mean, I'm just saying that because I'm glad I didn't personally, but
Well, I mean, I personally thought it would be Mikey de Jong, considering after qualifying, obviously getting pole in the McLaren, but pleasant surprises up and down the grid here, especially the Alpines. What a result for them way to
yeah,
kick off the
P2 and
season. And those
P5
Aston
for the
Martins,
Alpines. Jackson
line
Altman
astern there.
taking home that P2 position is Jackson Altman after starting P6. Great for him. Abdullah Hazmi, of course, taking up the rear of the pack come race start, makes his way up to P8. Other big movers, looks like Corey Chan gets the final points paying position P10 from P13.
Just gonna grab my drink real quick.
And there you have it, folks. That'll wrap up the inaugural F1 Grand Prix of this 2024 ARC realistic season. And I believe we're just trying to sort through some of these podium finishers to get some interviews started. Let's see who we've got.
Is Boryoshi in here? Did we get Yosh?
Doesn't seem that we've got him yet. If you want to start from the top down, or we can wait for him. What a great race, though. Of course, Bahrain, it's always a show worth putting on. Night races lend themselves, of course, to better car performance, and it just really, everything comes alive once we get going. Early incidents, though, really shook up the race for some of our, expected performers, but nonetheless, Boryoshi storming his way back onto the podium after early incidents, and everybody else kind of, finding their way, holding station most of the way through. Always good to see newcomers scoring their first points in ARC as well. Plenty of that happening tonight.
Alright, well, I guess while we wait for Mr. Yoshi, we'll start with P2, Jackson Altman. Oh, never mind. Hold on just a second. I knew that was going to happen as well. Alright, let's start with P3. Boryoshi, picking up where you left off previous season, consistency and podiums. I mean, the spin at the beginning of the race, but you're able to claw back for a podium position. Walk us through it from your point.
Yeah, I'll take P3. If you'd offered me P3 before the race, I would have taken it, and then after the spin on lap one, I definitely would have taken it. Yeah, a little bit of a shame because the racing up front looked like it was close and fun, especially at the start. So yeah, it's on me though. I just pirouetted.
Well, I mean, a spin and to come back from the depths of the grid, not a bad way to start the season. How'd the car feel out there? Feel good? You feel comfortable in it?
Not really. The engine sounds horrendous, so I'm just like treading on eggshells, but I'm sure I'll get used to it more.
Well, we can expect and hope to see you back up on the podium again next week. Good race, man. Congratulations on the podium.
Thank you.
Now, Jackson Altman. Sir, you predicted a P1 and a P2 for the Alpines. While that didn't come to fruition, you did, however, have a battle with one of the best racers in ARC right now in Mikey Dion, as you kept him honest at P2 on debut. Walk us through that race, man. That was a good one.
They didn't have the qualifying I wanted. Um, just wasn't expecting the car to. I didn't do any practice with the Alpine, so I didn't realize how different it was than the equal car. So started P6, got up to P3, and then safety car came out, stayed out because I didn't think they were going to be able to get through the rest of the field as quick as they did, and then I was just hanging on for dear life. I was within like 2 seconds of Mikey for most of it, and then at the end of the race, he was just too quick, and he pulled away.
But either way, how'd the car feel? It looked like you were very confident with the car early doors. You were able to put it where you wanted to. You were super aggressive, and you were making the moves work, and they were sticking. How did the car ultimately feel?
Uh, it was actually like the car, the understeer is crazy, and it's slow, and it has like trash brakes. So it was stable though. It wasn't like it was snapping. So I was able to be confident on the gas.
Well, a track like Bahrain with those flippy corners. That's not so bad, and it worked out in your favor. Obviously, congrats on P2, and here's to a good season, man.
Thank you.
All right, just run out of questions to ask this man, Mikey DeYoung. Classic, no practice. Spoke with you before the race. You were just like, yeah, I guess I got to race in 15 minutes. Not really a fan of the McLaren. Stuck it on pole. Come on, man. What are they feeding you over there in the Netherlands, man? You another race, another solid run. Car looks good. You look good. Didn't seem like you were faltered or bothered. You just kept it clean, consistent, and another P1 for you, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously these cars drive different than the equals, so I had to adjust to it, and uh, I did like 1 or 2 to 3 laps on time trial just to get into it, and I thought this is gonna be nothing. Uh, Meanwhile, going into the qualifying, I set the fast lap, and I was like, well, damn, maybe I will be winning this one. But my expectations for the Red Bull was a bit higher than it was uh, in the actual race. So I thought I would have probably been P3, P2 since Porsche Dude and AJ was in the Red Bull. But Porsche Dude made a mistake, outbroke himself, hit my rear, and lost the wing. Shame for that because I would have loved him to be with me all race and race each other and overtake each other every lap like on the straights and in the corners, make a risk. Uh, but this is fine as well, and I was able to get close to Jackson Altman and t- make the overtake, drive away, and get the win.
Well, I'm sure we can expect more of this from you, man. You've got to be the hottest driver in ARC right now. Even with a 2.5 month break, you're just picking off where you left off. And they put you in a lesser car. But luckily for you guys, all three of you guys standing on the podium here. Kyler had a great race, ultimately made the mistake running into Mikey DeYoung. And gotta say, somehow AJ Knickel beached the car, was unable to get the tires to get grip, and was disqualified. So you guys got off easy, but
Ah,
I will say this: be wary of Kyler Boggs next week because he did have pace in that Red Bull. So you guys got a podium now, but those Red Bulls are coming.
yeah, I mean the Red Bull is very quick, and Kyler Boggs was very quick, but I was able to keep with him, overtake him even. But I'm sure he was able to overtake me back easily. So it would have been a close fight in the end if he was able to not get that damage at all.
Well, again, congrats to you guys, P1, P2, P3, Mikey, Jackson, and Boryoshi. I look forward to seeing you guys back into the podium positions again going forward. Congrats.
Yes.
All right, Alex.
We want to thank
Lead us out of
everybody, of
here.
course, for tuning in tonight. The inaugural race here of the 2024 ARC F1 season. A few shoutouts to make, of course. We want to thank DiveBomb Motorsport, ARC's premier partner. DiveBomb is a collaborative new media project by motorsports fans for motorsports fans. Next, of course, Sim League Pro, the one, the only. It's where we all go for our information. It's ARC's league management partner, and we always want to thank them for partnering with us and doing all that they do. Of course, next up is Simrap Market. iRacing's largest marketplace of professional level livery design templates, custom graphics, designs, number sets, and more for the sim racing community. Go check them out if you race iRacing at all. I'm sure you'll find something there that you like. IMB Racewear, ARC's sim racing apparel sponsor. They always provide us some really good gear and really good stuff to be able to work with. They bring sim racing gloves, boots, and more to the table, and we want to thank them for partnering with us. The Racing Rats, the Assetto Corsa modding partners that ARC works with. Always want to thank them, of course, for putting out high quality, free mods and working closely with us to host incredible Assetto Corsa League racing events. And finally, a shout out to James McAdam Photography and AJ Knickel Design, our photography and graphic design partners. Thanks as always for the hard work that both of those gentlemen put into this league. Lots of great thumbnails, lots of great media that we always get our hands on thanks to those two. So, from all of us here at ARC, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Signing off.